Hello, Everett Ericson here, and yes, even though it's me here again, it is not time for another mixed review. Instead, now it's time for top 10 movies of 2017. Yes, I didn't start doing mixed reviews until 2/3 of the way through the year, but oh well, I saw a lot more than I did reviews on. And also, you're not going to be seeing limited releases that are distributed in mainstream in 2018 on this list. That means no Phantom Thread, no I, Tonya, and no The Post. Okay, let's get things started with number 10. Number 10, Hidden Figures. Starting off the list is arguably the most important film to be released in 2017. Without a doubt, this film tells the most interesting true story of the year and is able to do so while telling two side stories that feel neither distracting nor ignored. Plus, the chemistry between the actors is astounding. Number 9, Murder on the Orient Express. Speaking of great chemistry between actors comes the ensemble piece of the year. Each character is casted and performed perfectly, and each actor is able to add something to the overall piece. A lot of critics dislike this film purely on the reason that the 1974 version is vastly better. While this is true, this film still achieves greatness on its own and doesn't deserve to be defined as a little brother to the earlier adaptation. Number 8, Mother. Holy cow, was this one weird. By far it is the strangest film of the year, but it is able to maintain that strangeness while having substance to back it up. After all, the whole thing is an allegory for climate change. The entire movie is creepy, violent, and confusing, and if that isn't your jam, then this movie won't be for you. But when I saw it, I knew it had to be my first movie to review. And that Michelle Pfeiffer performance, amazing. Number 7, Baby Driver. Forget that Kevin Spacey's in this movie just for a second and take a look at it as a whole. The world that is created is vibrant, colorful, and full of life. Plus, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Add to that the use of synchronization with the on-screen action, and you have one killer action film. Thank God Edgar Wright came out with a film like this because he deserves a lot more attention than he's been getting lately. Have you seen Scott Pilgrim vs. the World? Number 6, The Big Sick, another film that brings a truly great voice to light. Kumail Nanjiani had some attention when he was in the HBO series Silicon Valley, but not nearly enough. This movie was both touching and comical, something you'll see a lot more of on this list, and tells an unbelievable true story from one of the sharpest comedic minds of this era. Also, Ray Romano and Holly Hunter are amazing, of course. Number 5, The Shape of Water. I'm not usually a big fan of Guillermo del Toro, especially his, quote, blockbusters. But this is an amazing movie. Everything from the colors, the camera moves, to the casting and performances is perfect. Everything fits within the frame of the story. And the story, it's so creative and unique, taking a different look at the stories of The Creature from the Black Lagoon and Beauty and the Beast. By far, this is the best romance horror we're likely to see for years. Number 4, Blade Runner. Oh my god, is this movie beautiful. The runtime is nearly 3 hours, so if you can't handle that, it probably won't be for you, but if you've got the stamina, this film will reward you. Each shot is crafted to perfection, and the color and framing alone are what put this film in the list. Plus, you don't even have to have seen the first movie to enjoy it. The film is made to appeal to viewers that are new to the story and those that love the original. Well, here we are at our top 3. But before that, I'm going to tell you about the bottom films of this year. You've heard some good ones, now it's time for quite the opposites. And boy, did we have some bad ones this year. Number -5, Monster Trucks. The premise of cars coming to life has never been done before, right? How about we put a bunch of gross slime monsters in the engines, but we make sure that the special effects are terrible. Sounds like box office gold, right? Oh, and don't forget about that awful acting, though. Genius. Number -4, Ghost in Shell. In all seriousness, this is by far the most shameful example of attempting to cash in on an already successful product by making it a big Hollywood action blockbuster. The anime is phenomenal and beautiful, and I don't even watch anime regularly. But to make it into a movie, they had to make it action-packed and put Scarlett Johansson in it. Because without Scarlett Johansson, even the Fast and Furious fans would steer clear of this one. Number -3, The Bye-Bye Man. This movie attempted to scare my pants off, and instead I laughed my head off. I don't know if it was just trying to take itself too seriously, but it had the potential to be a perfect horror parody movie. But instead, they went full throttle on a film whose main antagonist is called The Bye-Bye Man. What's the sequel going to be, The Later Dude? Number -2, Justice League. Oh boy, was this movie a waste of time. I'm not quite sure what it was, but it was the most boring waste of time checking my watch the entire time movie. I didn't laugh, I wasn't impressed, I wasn't shocked, I wasn't anything other than bored out of my mind. Could have put those 2 hours to literally anything else and it would have been a better use of my time and money. And number -1, the worst film of the year, The Snowman. Worst editing ever. I mean, of all time. I have never seen a movie that was edited this poorly. If you haven't seen the first 5 minutes, you're missing out. It's almost hilarious how awful it is. But it's not that hilarious, and especially for 2 hours. Okay, now we can move on to the top 3. Number 3, Get Out. This was the scariest movie I've seen in a long time, and the only other film that I could really think of where I had a consistent feeling of dread would be The Shining. Truly, Jordan Peele has created a masterpiece of cinematic horror, and this movie might be the only one to really go down in the annals of film history from 2017. Speaking of 2017, what a perfect year for this film to come out, and in February for that matter. Number 2, Lady Bird. Wow. I laughed, and then I cried, in that order, at that speed. What an emotional roller coaster, but instead of feeling exhausted, I was thoroughly engaged throughout the whole thing. I felt like I could connect to it on a closer personal level than a lot of people could. That's why it's so high on my list, but I'm sure it could easily connect to any viewer. What can I say? Thank you, Greta Gerwig. And Saoirse Ronan, please call me, and sorry I got your name wrong that one time. And number 1, the best movie of 2017 is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Hey, speaking of emotional roller coasters, this. I was a huge fan of Martin McDonagh before this, but now it feels like it's increased exponentially. Plus, with the addition of the casting of Frances McDormand, it felt like I was watching the Coen brothers in the height of their prime. Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell are phenomenal in this movie. Peter Dinklage was in it. It was dark, it was sad, it was hilarious, and it was exactly what I needed. And there you have it. That was my top 10 and bottom 5 movies for the year. It has been an absolute pleasure reviewing movies, and I'd like to thank you for listening in. And here's to another year of the least opinionated review channel on the internet. Well, except for this one time, okay?